What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well. Now, you may have noticed if you've been around on my channel for a while now that this year especially I've been doing more Reddit series. That is, not individual Reddit stories and posts, but sagas, if you like. You guys have been absolutely loving them, which is great to see. And I think I'm back with another one. If you guys go on to enjoy this episode, that is. It was actually left in a comment from one of you guys on one of my previous series, Blabbermouth Sister-in-Law. If you've seen that one, you'll know what I'm talking about. But one of you left a comment saying, I really enjoyed that series. How about this one from 8 years ago on Reddit? Now, you probably know what this is going to be about based on the title, but this was posted on r/JustKnowMother-in-law, JustKnowMil. And it's a crazy beginning to this story. So anyway, this is part one in what may be a 4-part series. Up to you if you guys go on to enjoy it. Let me know in the comments down below if you want to hear more. But yeah, this is episode 1 in the Stabra series. My mother-in-law just stabbed me, and somehow I'm the jerk. In brackets, advice please. So to preface, I've been married 4 years, together for 7, with a 3-year-old. My mother-in-law hasn't liked me since I became a tattoo artist around 5 years ago and gave her son his first tattoo. I'm heavily inked, and now my husband is too. His tattoos are a huge point of contention between she and I. She takes him getting modifications as him, quote, ruining the body she made for him, and has asked him on several occasions if he isn't happy with himself, and goes on these weird woe is me rants. I guess all of the work I did to make you doesn't matter. You hate what I made. I'm the worst mum. How could you do this to me? Etc. She's always been nothing more than passive aggressive. Until today. We made a rare visit to my mother-in-law and stepfather-in-law's house to let our little one play on their jungle gym since he's been begging to go. My mother-in-law was pleasant and ordered us all takeout. It was actually kind of nice. My stepfather-in-law pulled out his phone and asked, "So, what do you think of this?" and showed me a really well done tattoo. I said it was gorgeous. He asked if I could do it, and I said no because it's not a style I'm familiar with doing, but if he gave me time to practice, I'd be more than happy to do it once I figured out how to get the shading right. It's a very specific tattoo done by a well-known artist that is really hard to emulate. My mother-in-law overheard this and made a snide comment about me being a bad influence. I joked back, yeah, being a bad influence kind of comes with the territory, I guess. I stab people a lot for a living. I didn't realise what had happened for a moment, and according to my husband, my mother-in-law moved so fast that it even took him a second to catch on. The female dog had been fiddling around with the fire pit, using a little hot dog roasting pick thing that came to a point. She whipped it towards me and jammed it into the upper part of my arm. I jumped up and started screaming. My husband was yelling, our little one started crying. My stepfather-in-law ushered my mother-in-law into the house and kept yelling, "Sorry, oh my god, I'm so sorry, why would you do that? I'm so sorry, please don't call the police, hold on, I'm coming back, are you okay?" And other word vomit to diffuse us. We packed our little one into the car and my mother-in-law didn't resurface. My husband went inside to confront her while I checked out my arm. It wasn't bad. It didn't pierce very far at all, maybe a quarter of my pinky nail, but there was a good bit of dirt and stuff from the fire pit in my arm, which freaked me out. My husband apparently confronted his mum and stepfather. His stepfather was apologetic and begged him not to call the cops. He asked my mother-in-law why she did it, and she apparently answered, "Well, she said she stabs people for a living, so I was going to poke her and say, 'Now you see how it feels.' But I didn't know my own strength." My husband promised not to call the cops, but said to leave him the F alone unless he contacts her. Sounds good, right? Nope. Less than an hour after this happened, my husband was on my butt about forgiving her. He now isn't speaking to me because I told him I actually do want to call the police, and he said if I did, he'd never forgive me. He actually threatened to grab our child and go to his mum's house tonight if I didn't call her to talk it out. She's texted me over 20 times telling me she didn't mean to, but not actually apologising. I don't know what to freaking do. I don't know how to end this post. My sister told me about this sub a while ago and I've been lurking, but I never thought I'd actually post. This is such trash. Goodness me, what a start to this one. No real build up, no introduction, just bang. I was stabbed by my mother-in-law. Absolutely insane. From my point of view, call the police 100%. I don't know what your husband is doing. Like, this woman has stabbed you. Therefore, you can call the police. I think it's unlikely, let's be realistic here, that anything that bad's going to happen to her. Like, it's not the worst of crimes ever. I don't think. And I don't think you're seriously saying, okay, I want her to be like properly charged and sentenced, whatever, go to prison. But the fact of the matter is, she has stabbed you. I think, calling the police would at least make her consider her actions and go, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Whereas if you don't, she might try something like that again. She does seem pretty unhinged. Now, as for the advice question, I don't know. What is your husband doing? That is all I can say. Like, yeah, I get it. It's his mum and nobody wants their mum to be arrested. I mean, the majority of us don't. But I feel like this is a step too far, saying if you call the police, I'm not going to forgive you. Actually chat to my mum and talk it out when she's the one that hasn't even apologized in the first place. Oh, and on top of that, I'm going to take our kid and go to my mum's house if you don't do this stuff, or if you call the police. That's very manipulative and very vindictive, and I don't know, we're very early on in this story, but I'm interested to see what happens next and what you end up doing. People in the comments down below, and this is 8 years ago, by the way, this whole story takes place 8 years ago. It's a genuine classic. Said, stand your freaking ground. This is insane. Do not let them force you into speaking with this woman, which I completely agree with. Somebody else said, what the actual F? Take your son and go somewhere. Actually, go straight to the hospital or urgent care. You need that looked at. And that is a good point. Like, that cut could definitely get infected if you're not careful. And your son could be taken by your husband if you're not careful. I would do that as well. Okay, the next day we got an update. Preface. Little one and I are at an urgent care clinic with my sister. We'll be staying with her until my husband finds a new rental. We're safe. Thank you guys so much for all of the advice and help. So, my sister drove over immediately after I called her and told me to pack a couple of bags and come on. This went down within 15 minutes of me posting. She lives less than 10 miles away. I started packing and my husband noticed and started freaking out, crying and begging me not to go. My sister took our child out to the car so he didn't have to see, thank God, and I lost my trash. We both yelled, we both cried. My husband kept yelling that his mum texted him to say she's crying her eyes out and is suicidal because everyone will think she's an abuser when I tell. He asked if I planned to call the cops and I answered yes. He asked me to come and talk to his mum one more time and hear her out before I called. I agreed because I was already feeling trashy. A little note, we actually rent from my mother-in-law. She owns our house and lives up a small fenced hill from us. We're separated by some thick brush, so she can't just walk down. It's a 5-minute drive though. My mother-in-law came over and sat in the chair looking sheepish. The first thing out of her mouth was, "Is the little one here?" I said no. I asked my sister to take him for the night. She sighed and actually frickin' pouted, then said, "You wanted to talk, so talk." My husband later admitted he said he thought I was overreacting and that I would apologize. No. Him saying that emboldened her. Basically, I called her out and said there was no way it was an accident. She said she just didn't realize how strong she is since she expects herself to be weak due to being sick. Apparently, she has the flu and invited us over with our child anyways. I got mad and raised my voice. She started trying to diffuse. It was working, honestly. I was doubting myself. Then she dropped a bomb I didn't expect. "You're just so hard to get along with. I just didn't expect you to be the one my son ended up with. I'm glad he did, but I expected someone more biblical. I love you to bits though." My husband, to my surprise, jumped up and yelled, "What the F does that mean, Mum?" She looked startled, then scolded him like a frickin' child. It was so unexpected that I just sat back. She kept talking and talking, then said something about disciplining me like a child, and it didn't even go in that deep. This is ignorant. If it had gone deeper, I'd understand. My husband, for once in our marriage, stood up to her. He blatantly asked, "Did you do this on purpose?" At first, she said no, then relented. "I didn't know it would actually go in. I didn't know it would draw blood." My husband told her to get the F out. All of this in less than 15 minutes. He told her to never call him again and that we'd be moving. She started yelling, and he shoved her out of the door and slammed it in her face. I told him that if he was serious about moving, good, but I'm not staying until we find a place, and neither is our kid. I also demanded therapy and to never see his mum again. He agreed. My sister picked us up, and the little one crashed on her couch. My sister looked at my arm and said we needed to go to urgent care now, so here we are. They said it needs 2 stitches, so we're waiting on that, and I'm going to receive a tetanus booster and some other shot that I'm missing. We spoke to the clinic cop, and he said that it was probably an accident and basically brushed us off, so we're filing a police report tomorrow. I'm so tired. I wish I could say it's a happy ending, but I'm heartbroken. I seriously doubt my husband is going to hold true on his moving promise once he sees rental prices compared to the amount we pay his mum. My sister said we could have the living room and pay half of her rent, and if he doesn't have a place picked soon, I'm gonna do it and file for divorce. Send me strength, guys. Okay, I guess that's kind of good news in a way. I mean, at least your husband has realized something that his mum did was wrong, but that's it. Like, I thought he was going to turn a corner there, and he kind of, he popped his head round, and then he was like, actually, no, I'm not going to bother. I was so close to being like, oh, finally he's realized, but no. Well, I mean, I say that he has spoken well. I'm not sure if I believe him yet. We'll see in the next few posts, but I don't know. I feel like the initial reaction to all of this was just so ridiculous that I'm not quite sure if I'm really believing this. But as I said, we shall see. As for you, OP, you'll be all right. I believe in you. It's a good thing you got your sister there. You've set your stall out early. I think you've done the right thing here, being like, no, this is a huge thing that's just happened. And also, yeah, you don't stab somebody by accident. This is not the sort of thing you go, oh, don't worry, like, oh yeah, just apologize and we'll get over it. She has actually come at you with something pointy. And also, I don't realize my own strength because I've got the flu. That might be the worst excuse of the 21st century. Okay, later that same day, we got our second update to this one. My husband called me around 5 this morning and informed me that after some thought, he does not want to move. Wow. I guess a few hours is enough time to make that decision. He said my mother-in-law came over and let herself in. He swears he wouldn't have opened the door. I doubt it. And they talked for a while, and that she's genuinely sorry and offered to let us keep the house for free if we maintain the yard better and let this go. I'm not proud of myself, but I lost it. I called him out on never supporting me on anything ever with his mum, and he just kept making excuses for her past behaviours. This woman spanked our child hard enough it left a mark when he was less than 18 months old for knocking a cup over onto her, and he excused it as, well, she did it with us too. She just parents that way and views him as her own. She loves him so much and just jumped the gun. Yeah, I love my kids so much. I spanked him and left a bruise. Nice. Anyway, this whole ordeal makes me realize just how freaking broken our marriage is. Her thinking my son is hers is a huge issue, not an excuse for beating him up though. I feel like a terrible mum. I've allowed her to do so much. She never laid a hand on him after that, but looking back, she said some awful stuff to my baby. She called him the R-word slur when he was 3 because he spilled a plate of pasta and cried over it. That's just one example. Reading the comments here has made me realize how bad this actually is. I genuinely don't think she meant to break the skin, and we don't have the kind of relationship where she joked with me like that. I think she meant to poke me to hurt me and then accidentally used too much force. This is getting long and I'm sorry. I'm kind of word dumping while I wait for my sister to wake up so we can go file a police report. I don't want to tell her all of this because she's already so angry on my behalf that she's almost called my father-in-law to get him to sort out my husband. I told my husband he can stay there and I'll move in with my sister. He demanded that our kid come back to live with him, but I refused. He's welcome to see him, but he cannot take him anywhere because he will not be seeing my mother-in-law. My husband asked if the little one could ever see my mother-in-law again, and I said no. And as I started explaining that she'd also been hurting him, my husband just kept yelling, "But she's my mum and his grandma, so she's freaking going to one way or another," over and over again. He hung up on me when I said, "Not after I file a police report. I'm not doing this," and sent me some texts about how I never cared about him and how his mum is right because if I loved him, I wouldn't do this to him. His mum has also texted me. She's apparently so sick and upset that she can't sleep. I've not responded, but since the last post, I've received 4 texts. The last one includes a fun note about how even though I hate her, I cannot take her grandson from her, and if I try, she'll fight back. I screenshotted it all, and I'm going to hand it over to the police. In one, she admits that she was only joking around when she poked me, and claimed that it only went through because my tattoos weakened my skin, which is BS. Yes, that is the biggest load of BS ever. I'm rambling. I'm sorry guys, this will probably be my last post for a while until this is sorted, but my sister told me to update something so you guys know we're safe and that I'm filing a police report and for divorce. To the 2 people who messaged me and asked me not to be hasty in deciding to leave him, well, he forced my hand. Have a nice Tuesday guys. I'll update if I remember to once we get the ball rolling. You've all been a tremendous help. Thank you for welcoming me into your community and giving me the confidence to handle this trash and not feel crazy. I mean, I know I say it often guys, but that is the beauty of Reddit. You get real people giving you real advice that, who knows, may have been through similar things. Anyway, there is another update to come, and this one was the next day. I am filing for divorce. I meant to update a bit sooner, but things happened and I needed legal advice and I was exhausted. For brevity's sake, well, to keep this from being a novel, I'm going to use bullet points. My husband and his mum both sent me over a dozen texts apiece. My husband said he wants a divorce because I can't possibly love him if I hate his family this much, so I agreed. He then backpedaled pretty hard and admitted he was trying to manipulate me, but F that. His mum still hasn't actually apologised. We filed a police report. The officer was sympathetic and agreed it's assault, but said not to expect too much because it likely won't go very far. They went out and spoke to her. I've got no clue what she said. They didn't arrest her, just warned her to expect a court day and to leave me alone. She immediately texted me to stop and actually leave her alone. I didn't respond. I've had doubts about the police report, but I'm not going back on it. This all happened before 4 PM, so great day. I'm filing for emergency custody until this is sorted, due to yesterday evening, which is why I wanted to post. Any advice on how to do this, where to report to, how soon they'll grant it, is so appreciated. I can't give out my location, I'm not comfortable with it, so general advice is fine. Our kid usually goes to an in-home daycare from 8 to 5 every weekday because of our work schedules. Due to me going in at 2 and not getting off until super late, I drop our kid off and my husband picks him up on the days I work. My little one didn't go to daycare yesterday. My aunt came down and watched him while my sister and I handled everything because I didn't feel comfortable, since the daycare can't say no to the child's father. You guys really got to me in the comments, and I texted literally anyone I could think of who I trusted my baby to come and watch him. He stayed at my sister's apartment. At 5:45, the little one's daycare teacher called me in a panic, asking if I dropped him off because he wasn't there to be picked up. I'd forgotten to call her to tell her we wouldn't be coming in, so I apologised and explained actually that he wouldn't be coming in for a little while. She said his dad was outside to get him and asked if everything was okay. I said no, and to tell him that the little one isn't going back to daycare. She hung up. I got a text asking where I am and when can he pick up our son. I said he's welcome to come and see him, but he can't take him to see his mum. He didn't respond. So, I'm on frickin' edge. I don't think they would kidnap him, but it's so terrifying to think about, and I don't know what my mother-in-law has been saying. I just can't be sure. Lastly, I'm going to my aunt's house later this week. She has a guest room and is going to watch my kid every day and let me take her car to the shop for work. I'm going to pay her rent and plan to switch bank accounts and move my money over ASAP. It's within state lines and about half an hour away, so we're okay legally. It also has more space and a backyard so my son can play. Also, some background, since a lot of people think I'm being hasty about the divorce. Yeah, you know what, I would slightly agree with that, and I hope this context will sort of give us more information, because, you know, without knowing this, it does sort of feel like a one-off incident, but you can kind of tell that there is a lot more that has happened, and this has been an ongoing thing. I mean, from the first post, OP said this has been a thing, this sort of rift between her and her husband's mum for ages. And it does seem as if, yeah, maybe her husband has always been on his mum's side rather than hers for no valid reason. My mother-in-law, OP says, used to love me. She didn't like my tattoos, but I didn't have a lot of the time, so she just brushed it off, aside from some passive-aggressive comments. We moved in with my mother-in-law and stepfather-in-law while I was pregnant, under the impression that we would buy the house once theirs was done being built, the one they live in now. My mother-in-law asked that I take my piercings out. We thought about it, but I relented because it was supposed to be a less than 6-month thing. They moved like 4 months later. I could still put in 2 of my piercings. I only had 4, nostril, septum, and my ears. I could put my ears back in. She noticed and threw a hissy fit over my basic earring holes and said, part of the lease is that they cannot be in. Yep, we went from buying to renting, and my husband didn't even tell me. Apparently, our rent was cheaper than the note would have been, so he agreed. This became a pattern. I'd tell my mother-in-law, no, my son can't have something, do something, go somewhere. Then she'd ask my husband, who'd say, sure, mummy, anything for you. You're the best mummy ever. Not really, but he may as well have done. So, for the first 1.5 years, my son was basically being parented by my mother-in-law behind my back, and I didn't even know. She was our daycare because we both worked 9 to 5, basically on most days, until she spanked my son so hard it left an actual handprint which bruised and welted. 4 months she didn't see him. Then my husband started sneaking him over while I wasn't home. Then I'd come home and they'd be gone to get ice cream or to the park. I caught him finally when my son started talking and said he was going to Nana's. My mum doesn't live here, so it clicked. I was weak, so I caved and I started going too. That's when the pasta incident happened, along with several other things. We started going less and less. I'd been tattooing at that point for a bit, and I'd amassed a lot of pieces. My mother-in-law had only seen me briefly in long sleeves and long pants, so she hadn't noticed, but when she saw them, she claimed I was violating the rental agreement and then tried to throw me out and keep my son there with my husband. My husband offered me an apartment and said he'd pay for it from the money he was getting from his mum, money I didn't even know about. I refused and said if I left, my son was coming. My mother-in-law relented. Okay, wow, this is very, very important context so far. Let's carry on. She got really passive-aggressive when I started inking her son. I'd done small pieces that were hidden on him. It took her a little while to notice, and was outright abusive to him. She started making comments about, well, I just expect my grandson to show up one day with a tattoo. I dare you to touch him with that thing. If he ever gets one, I'll beat the devil out of you. And, grandson, you love yourself, so you don't get tattoos and holes like them. My son actually said he didn't like mine at one point, but later admitted he did, but Nana said it was bad when he told her about some of them. My husband actually supported me then and told her to F off. We rarely saw her for a while. Then she bought this stupid massive jungle gym for our son for his birthday recently and said it had to be set up at her house. My son begged and begged to use it, so we let him, and then she stabbed me. This isn't me just wanting a divorce or throwing away years of a relationship. I know you guys meant well, you were polite, but F off with that. My life has been turned upside down. I'm freaking terrified and I don't know what to do. I've never even been in a courtroom. I've only filed a police report once in my life other than this. I'm filing for divorce, not because I want to, but because I realised I'm being abused, and this isn't okay. Also, I have enough money and resources to get by. Thank you for the outpouring of help and kindness and all of the amazing advice. We have our ducks in a row as far as documentation, and I'm going later with a police escort to get my kid and my things, including paperwork, Thanks, Messenger. I've contacted a lawyer and I'm moving the process along. And then we got one little micro update to round off this start to the story. A quick update. Might last for a while until the legal stuff is over because I'm honestly overwhelmed. This was posted, by the way, just a few hours after the previous one. My lawyer said I can leave this up since there are no names or locations. My soon-to-be ex-husband knows that we are at my aunt's. He said he doesn't want to pick up my kid, not that I offered, or see him right now because my mother-in-law is so distraught that she plans to check herself into a facility, and he blames himself for her being like this. I saved that text. My lawyer is helping get everything ready for emergency custody. I took my deposits out of the account and put it into my own per my lawyer's advice. And lastly, my mum found the photo of my kid. We're getting copies made. Looking at it makes my blood boil. That's my freaking baby. I should have handled this a while ago. She also found a copy of some of the insane trash my mother-in-law sent me when I first started apprenticing at the shop, basically saying I'm an unfit mother because my modifications are sending me to heck while my son will be in heaven. Therefore, I'm abandoning him. Anyway, that's all for now. I feel better. Okay, wow, what a start. I feel like the photo there that OP is referencing that her mum has is probably a photo of the bruise and the welting on her son, which is just completely horrible. I mean, that is a whole lot worse, in my opinion. I'm not sure legally, but like assaulting a child is surely worse than just common assault of an adult. If you're gonna go to the police with something like really serious, I would lead with that. But yeah, formulate an entire set of documents, evidence, whatever, messages and photos, of course, and yeah, get that process started ASAP, because at this point it feels like it's only going in one way, and I think it has to be honest. But there we go. That is sort of it for the initial setup of this story. The next post jumps about a week ahead and the story progresses from there, and trust me, I've had a little bit of a look. Things get pretty ridiculous. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for episode 1 of this new saga, I suppose. Let me know what you think down below. Do you want to see episode 2? It's up to you guys. If you don't like the story, that's fine. It's your channel as much as it's mine. I like picking the content, but if you guys don't like it, that's up to you. Although I will say, I feel like you guys probably will like this one. You'll see why it's called Stabra, or when the name Stabra comes about pretty soon in the next episode, which I'm sure you guys will want to see. But yeah, that's it for episode 1. Subscribe to the channel and turn notifications on so you do not miss episode 2. That's what I'm going to say, and I'll catch you tomorrow, maybe, if you guys like this one, for episode 2.